Hello and welcome to the 112th episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and I'll start off with our business moment. I want to talk about the sad demise of the AAF.
Yes.
You know, Jason, it's a shame that they left so many people stranded. I mean, I'm reading this now. Here's a player, Anthony Manzo Lewis. Unorganized is an understatement. Kicked out of our rooms that weren't paid for. I'm 17 hours away from home with a car full of my belongings and nowhere to go. Then another guy, I woke up, Adrian Robinson says, I woke up to over a $2,500 charge pending on my account from the Sonesta hotel our team stayed in. I called the bank and Memphis team president. My only option is to dispute the charges on Monday. The same thing happened to other players on their team.
Wow.
And then, you know, they just kind of left these guys out there, which I don't think there's any, I don't respect that at all. I mean, you're going to shut down the league. You already lost some money. At least do the right thing.
Yes.
So the league still owes UCF more than $1 million for the lease it signed to play at Spectrum Stadium. So, first of all, I'm going to say that anybody would have paid more than $1 million rent to UCF is out of their mind. No wonder it's a bad business decision.
I guess what kind of boggles the mind a little bit is that at least from what we read from the outside at the beginning of this league,
yes,
it seemed like they had an actual plan in place. Now, apparently, they didn't have all the money in place.
No, but they said they had the money in place.
They said they said
they had the money to go for what, 3 seasons or something? They were saying,
yeah. And I mean, you kicked off with a great season. I mean, a great season opening weekend, which it proved that
really good weekend.
And I think it proved the point that I know is a new thing, and new things are always going to get a little bit, but it proved that the appetite was still there. If the product was right, you may have had something. Now, I don't know about the other business decisions.
No, they definitely, not having quarterbacks is the killer. And when you look back, the AFL, when it forced a merger with the NFL, they had quarterbacks.
Yes.
Okay. The WFL, when it was making noise, and the USFL, when it was making noise, they had quarterbacks. And you've got to have quarterbacks. It's the most critical position. So if you're going to invest, you've got to try and steal some quarterbacks. But you're going to overpay. Like I remember when we lived in Pittsburgh and the Maulers were the USFL team. Remember the Maulers?
Yeah.
All right. So Cliff Stout, who was the backup to Terry Bradshaw, ended up on the Birmingham team. And Glenn Carano, who was the backup to, I'm thinking Roger Staubach, was the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Maulers. And so you overpaid for both those guys. They never really worked out to anything, but at least you had a recognizable name. I mean, Cliff Stout had been, he had like a couple Super Bowl rings. Glenn Carano had filled in and done pretty well in a couple games. And so there was some expectations. There was at least some names. But this group of people that was playing quarterback, I didn't even know who the hell they were. I didn't know Phil Simms had another son.
No, that's true. But we sort of said that from the outset, that quarterback is the hardest position in all of sports, and there's not even a debate about that. There's just not that many of them, because we complain all the time. It's like you're telling me you can't find 32 competent guys to start in the NFL, and every season it doesn't seem like they can.
No, I think they would agree. You can't. It's hard to find 32 because we haven't had 32.
No, but you figure and again, I don't want to dismiss any of the level of talent of the AAF, the players there, but with a slightly diminished level of talent, you figure at the very least, maybe you take, and I know we've mentioned him on this podcast and whatever. He's got a lot of records at Oklahoma. He was a good college quarterback, and he's been in the league for almost a decade. Landry Jones just signed with somebody. You got a quarterback who's 31, 32, probably never going to be a starter in the NFL, but has NFL. We've seen him play in the NFL. We know he's a competent player, as opposed to Chris Sims' other son. Like, you figure with all the money you're putting up there, like, there's those guys to go get. What about RG3? I know he's still got NFL dreams, and he's been on an NFL roster the last couple of years, but you throw a little bit more of your money at an RG3 and be like, come be the star of this league. Now, I know RG3 thinks he's going to start is he in Baltimore again this year?
He's still
Lamar Jackson?
Yep.
Yeah. And I know obviously with Lamar Jackson being, questionable rookie and obviously prone to being injured, you think you got a chance to start back in the NFL. But maybe just throw Robert Griffin like, $6 million, whatever, triple his salary and let him be this, something along those lines to try to bring in that talent.
Yeah, I mean,
I know there's not 32 great quarterbacks to start in the NFL, but I feel like the fringe guys that aren't good enough for the NFL could probably dominate the competition of the AAF. And again, not trying to dismiss the talent of the AAF, but
I think you got to bet on yourself, Jay. You got to say, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to be a star, and then somebody's going to want to sign me and pay me more than I'm making now and give me a chance to play. But you got to bet on yourself. The way it is now, they have a contract. They're the third-string quarterback. They're covered by insurance. They wouldn't be covered if they went to another league. They're afraid to get hurt because they don't want to lose a paycheck. But you got to bet on yourself. If you don't, that's what's going to happen.
This feels a little bit like, and I know, because this is years of planning that went into this league. Lots of research. Obviously, like I said, they obviously didn't have as much money, or they had the money and it went away because the guy pulled his money. But like, you don't do years of research, start up a business, and just give up after like a couple of weeks, which is what this sort of feels like,
But this guy killed it. As soon as he said 3 weeks ago, if this doesn't work out the way I want to, I'm going to fold it. Well, as soon as you say I'm going to fold it, that's the magic words.
Right.
And nobody's interested anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I know the Steelers, I know we talk Steeler talk, but that's what I read in the offseason of Steeler news. The Steelers have signed 2 of the guys from AAF. And I know they think there's about 10 or 20 players that are going to at least get contracts and maybe practice squad. You'll probably have 2 or 3 guys that go on to be, we'll hear, Tony Romo talking about him like, the last year, this time, this guy was in the AAF, now he's in the playoffs, that kind of thing. But it is sad that all those guys, their pseudo dream is coming true and just ripped away just like that. Let alone with the $2,000.
The league said, we are grateful to our players who delivered quality football and may now exercise their NFL out clauses in our contract. Well, of course they're going to exercise. They don't have to exercise anything. There's no contract. I mean, it's kind of silly to even say that.
Exactly. There's no league, so clearly you're not under contract.
Yeah, really. So anyhow, so I was talking to a couple people today, and if I'm the XFL now, I'm going to sit back and look at the cities I've already picked, right?
Right.
And I'm going to say, Orlando did pretty good and San Antonio did pretty good. Maybe I should take a harder look at the cities I have and maybe go there because those cities have showed they're willing to support it.
True.
We're going to have one in Tampa. We can't sell out the Bucks. Why would I want to have an XFL team here?
No, very true. Very, very true.
No, and you're going to be playing in that stadium, and you're going to look like there's nobody there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it didn't work the first time. I don't know exactly what Vince McMahon thinks is going to happen this time. Because you clearly, especially now, you can't do some of the stuff they did then with player safety evolved the way it's evolved. So even the things you thought were going to make the XFL more exciting, you really can't do anymore,
No, I thought the thing I loved about the AAF was that instant replay thing where the woman was in the booth talking through her decision. And everybody got
NFL doesn't want to, because the NFL doesn't want to be like, we're just take it. It's great.
Take it. It's great. Everybody should just take it. That's a home run.
It's a home run. It's out there. Just do it. Like, don't worry about so a lot of people say the AAF, they'll be the trivia that they invented. Who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. Who cares? The NBA didn't have a 3-point shot. That was the ABA.
Yeah. Like, these guys came along. They did something better. Let's do something better.
I agree. All right.
And again, while we're talking about leagues and contracts and things along those lines, maybe we should talk about a pseudo sport for our next sports business moment.
Okay.
Sports entertainment. We just had WrestleMania.
Yep.
It was an incredible event. You had women headlining WrestleMania for the first time ever. They stole the show, put on an incredible performance, and yet clouded amongst all this greatness of, WWE, John Oliver pointed out some pretty incredible things on his show.
He did, and things I didn't know, things I was not aware of.
No. And it seems like, because the WWE, despite making these guys work hundreds of days a year, like I think over 200 days a year, performing both on television 2 nights a week, pay-per-view events, house shows, traveling around the country. There's no off season.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone that says wrestling fake, yes, we know it's fake, but it's incredible stunts that are being performed in the ring. And people
and there's a story.
And there's a story. And they're losing, painkiller addictions, Obviously, a number of suicides. A lot of wrestlers die young, and they don't offer health insurance.
No, you got to get it on your own.
You got to get your own health.
How many insurance companies are going to write an insurance policy for a guy that's getting hit in the head with a chair, or somebody jumping off the ring, or jumping on a table? You're just not going to write that policy. You can't afford to do it.
No. And to make matters worse, despite the fact that they're independent contractors, somehow the WWE has it both ways, where you're an independent contractor, but you can't work anywhere else.
Yeah, that's the part that really gets me. That's just wrong.
It's just wrong. And it's just another example of, leagues, just the people at the top getting a little bit too much power in these leagues. Because, I know it's not a league officially, but it's a super league.
I guess it is. It's a league is a circuit. And I guess it's a circuit, right?
Right. And I'm not trying to, lump them in with baseball or football or hockey or any other, real sport. But what those guys go through is incredibly physical. And it just, if you want to watch the John Oliver bit, he does a much better job of explaining it as I just did.
And that was not last night, but it was a week ago, right?
Right. Yeah. And from what I understand, I didn't get to watch WrestleMania, but I read a lot of the coverage. It didn't seem like, and again, what you hear live in an event is different than what you hear at a televised event.
Right.
And John Oliver had sort of, granted, he said more tonight on Monday Night Raw would be a time to yell for health insurance for wrestlers instead of throwing beach balls or yelling CM Punk or anything else. But nobody reported that anything was shouted in the arenas. And I sort of scanned some of the nerdier pages of people that go to see if anyone had done that, because I was curious to see if they followed up.
Did you watch John Oliver last night to see if he reported on it?
I did not get a chance to watch John Oliver as of yet, no.
I'm going to make sure that I do, because I want to see if he did follow up on it. Because that's the one thing I like about him. He lays something out, and then he usually follows up to let you know what happened.
He does. He might have to follow up next week, though, because he records on Sunday, and WrestleMania was last night. And I think what he...
Oh, it was last night? Okay, so it wouldn't be until this next night.
Right. And I think
I'll actually be at that show.
Oh, okay. You'll be able to tell in person then.
Maybe I could ask a question.
I think you should. And again, he wanted to do it on Monday Night Raw, which is, not that WrestleMania is not the biggest event, but Monday Night Raw is the show after Mania, which is the most popular. I think they get the best ratings of the year.
It's got a solid television audience. There'd be a lot of people. And what I respect about wrestling fans is they love their wrestlers.
Yes.
So they would want their wrestlers to have this benefit as well.
Without a doubt.
And if they know it's going to provide some longevity and safety for the career, they would be all for it.
And speaking of, I guess I can tie both stories together real quick with the AAF. Right now there's the AAE, which is All In Wrestling. All In Wrestling. AIW, whatever it is. It's the one started by Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, which is, it looks like it might be, you've always had Ring of Honor and New Japan and some of these other smaller wrestling federations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been since the late 90s with the WCW that the WWE is at a real competitor. And All In Wrestling now has an incredibly powerful rich backer behind them. They've signed some of the most popular wrestlers in the world. And, they said they're never going to go against WrestleMania, and they respect WWE and they want to have their own thing. But it'll be really interesting to see, since this is a wrestling brand started by wrestlers. The 5 people in charge are all wrestlers and one of the wrestlers' wives. If they listen to these sorts of things and see if they change the industry that way. Because now all of a sudden, if I'm a free agent and I know I'm not only going to get a lighter work schedule over here, but get top dollar and health insurance, maybe that's what can drive some of the talent away from WWE and let them sort of cherry pick the top guys to see if they heed the warning or learning of this lesson.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, that'd be interesting to see. Because they're throwing around a lot of money.
I think we're bringing up a thing. In fact, I would love to see us be able to respond to this situation. Let's monitor this, Jace, in our show, that we will come and check out the wrestling thing from time to time just to see where it goes.
I think that's great. Because I do fight. I haven't been watching wrestling. Obviously, as a kid, I used to love wrestling. But now I read more about wrestling than I actually watch wrestling. So,
okay, and the last business thing I want to do this, Michael Avenatti and the Nike scandal. Now everybody's throwing shade at this guy because he's been indicted. And I understand that. Okay, he's been indicted. He's a sewer dweller. Okay, whatever you want to say, right?
Exactly.
But as we said, TMZ's a sewer dweller, but they always seem to get the story and the truth.
So gotta get credit. They really do. I mean,
I know. So Michael Avenatti sent a link to some of the evidence showing Nike bribed players to attend Nike colleges. Well, that's an overstatement. What he should say is that Nike paid players' parents to have their sons attend Nike colleges.
Yes.
That's what I think happened. But he said Nike bribed over 100 players and purposely hid the statements from the NCAA. And they had the parents fill out some kind of consulting agreement. And then Zion's mother filled out some consulting agreement that she was consulting.
Yes.
So he's saying, here's what he says. If I'm lying or the documents are not legit, I challenge Nike to issue a statement claiming no bribes were ever paid. Just do it. So I mean, this guy's throwing a lot of rocks.
He really
I guarantee you, Nike's not going to respond to the allegations of an individual facing federal charges of fraud and extortion. Okay. Yeah, okay, he is. But why is he? Because he was involved in this sewer with you.
Exactly.
So, he's saying it was DeAndre Ayton, Brandon McCoy, and Oregon Ducks Bowl, besides Zion Williams.
Wow.
The scheme was initiated by Nike elite basketball executives and was carried out by Gary Franklin of California Supreme Youth Basketball. Avenatti also made allegations claiming Zion Williamson's mother, Sharondra Sampson, received payments from Nike during her son's recruitment when he was attending high school in South Carolina to go to Duke. And so then he also, on Twitter, to @Duke Basketball. About this denial by Coach K the other day relating to payments by Nike, can you please ask Zion Williamson's mother whether she was paid by Nike for bogus consulting services in 2016-17 as part of a Nike bribe to get Zion to go to Duke?
Wow.
I mean, there's some real stuff here.
Yeah. Like you said, he's throwing heat. He's not holding back. So
Duke's athletic director says, we are aware of the allegation as we would with any other compliance matter or looking into it. Duke is fully committed to compliance with NCAA rules and regulations. Every student athlete at Duke is reviewed to ensure their eligibility. With regard to men's basketball, all recruits and their families are thoroughly vetted by Duke in collaboration with the NCAA through the Eligibility Center's amateurism certification process. So that's the statement. Here's what I'm going to say. Just because you didn't, if you're Coach K, just because you didn't count the money and put it in a bag doesn't mean you didn't know the money was in a bag.
Right.
That's what I'm going to say. There's no way. These coaches are so in control of everything. Their lives are based upon control. How can they not know what's going on?
Exactly.
I just don't see it. So that's another story that we're going to continue to follow.
Without a doubt. Well, we're a few hours away from knowing who the we have one national champion already in Baylor, the women. Congratulations.
Yep.
Right?
And I watched that game last night, and I will tell you that I watched the whole Final Four. Baylor was the best team by far, but when Lauren Fox was hurt last night, 14 or 15 points were hurt, and then it brought it back to an even game. I mean, they had to really struggle to win that game without her, and it's a real testament to that Baylor team. But, I mean, when you're playing with a 6'7" and a 6'4" as your double low post, and the 6'4" person's playing like a point forward, it's really tough to beat. And I thought Oregon played them really, really well, but that's just too much to go against. So I wasn't surprised on that one, although I was surprised when Olagukwe missed that first free throw. I mean, she had been the pressure player for 2 years. And when she missed that first free throw, and that pretty much ended the game, I was surprised.
Definitely. And we made our predictions off. What's that?
Yeah. Tonight, I think we made predictions. I think I said North Carolina was going to win it all. Did you make a prediction before?
I think I said I refused myself, but I said I wanted Gonzaga to win just because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still buying the Gonzaga hype. I know they haven't been. I was like in high school by the last time they were actually like an underdog. A true Cinderella because they're almost like a major minor at this point or minor major. But
okay, so tonight we're both on opposite sides, right? You think Virginia's going to win, and I think Texas Tech's going to win.
I like the story of Virginia losing to in the 16 seed last year, and then coming around almost losing to 16 seed again this year, and then pulling off the win. I think we'd be pretty cool.
Well, I think it's a good story, no question. I just think Texas Tech is so long and so disruptive on defense that unless Virginia better be pounding those threes because they're not going to get much inside at all.
No, definitely not.
But that Mooney for Texas Tech the other night was ridiculously good. So I'm kind of curious to see how it all plays out.
It's very, very interesting.
Mike Trout emerged as well worth his contract. He was AL Player of the Week with his, I think, 4 home runs in 4 days.
Yeah, he's pretty ridiculous.
And ridiculous on base percentage. And the only two people who have a higher on base percentage over a 1-week series or a 4-game series, I think it was, Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle. And I'm always comparing to Mickey Mantle.
Yeah. That's really great company. It's hard to beat that.
It really is. NBA playoffs getting ready to start. I am very, very happy that my friends at the Orlando Magic are going to be in the playoffs.
I'm happy for them too.
It's been long.
As we watch this draft look like it's maybe not nearly outside of Zion Williamson. I don't know who you really want in this draft. I'm glad they went ahead and went for the playoffs.
Yeah, I am too. I'm glad for the fans because, if you're 13th or 11th or 10th in the lottery, you're not going to get anything. It's not that big of a deal.
No.
But to not have been in the playoffs for as many years as they haven't been in the playoffs, it's really nice that they have a shot at making the playoffs or being in the playoffs and seeing what they do. Yeah. And I've watched them a couple of times. They've scored ridiculous amounts of points at times.
They have.
130, 140. I was shocked. But it seems to be a team that plays well together and the pieces fit nicely together. There's not a lot of outstanding pieces, but the pieces that are there seem to fit well together.
And all they have to do is after they get knocked out in the first round, though, is don't overplay Vucevic. Or don't overpay him, this summer. I like him. He's a great story, but that's the albatross contract you have to avoid this year. Move forward.
They really need to avoid any albatross contract because there's nobody they have worth tying up for forever. They really don't.
They don't. I guess we can talk because we're getting, we're almost near food and other moments. So let's talk about the Juju Smith, Antonio Brown still whining drama.
I just don't understand why Antonio Brown feels this need to pop off. I mean, Juju got voted the MVP by his teammates.
Yes. And Antonio won the year before.
Feels the need. Yeah, I just understand it.
And again, much like Kevin Durant, who I've chastised many times, a Steeler fan said, made a comment to Antonio Brown on Twitter, which he decided to respond to, leave your emotions off the internet, which he immediately then called out Juju for fumbling in the Saints game when he was trying to make a play. And he's like, you cost us the playoffs. And it's like, whoa. I mean, first off, the second that play was over, Juju Smith came out and said, this was my bad. I promise I'll be better. This game is on me. He took all the blame, which is what we always ask our students to do. And it just seemed like such a small, petty little thing to do. And and as Juju said, I've had nothing but love for you. You wanted off the Steelers. You got off the Steelers for 30 cents on the dollar. If you wanted to be on the Steelers still, the owner flew down to Florida to meet with you. He was like, please stay. What do we have to do to make this work? You said, no, get me away. You went to the Raiders where you wanted to go. You got a new contract. Why are you still talking about Steeler fans? Still taking shots at your old team,
So you want to know what I wrote on Twitter?
I do.
Can't understand why at Antonio Brown 84 just can't let the bird go. We appreciated and loved him through December of last year, but he continues to pour gasoline on his legacy. You got what you wanted, so look ahead to your new quarterback at about 65 receptions.
Yeah. And again, you filmed this video of you and Derek Carr hugging. How excited you are.
Yeah.
Just embrace the new. And again,
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, he was on my list of all-time favorite Steelers. Even,
Yeah.
if
He's not anymore.
No.
He's off.
Even up to a couple
let's
years ago.
Forget about him. Let's talk about a good Steeler happening. Did you see the video of Ryan Shazier?
I saw the video of Ryan Shazier. It's beautiful.
Doing the box jump.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Now, I don't know if he's ever going to play football again, but the fact that he's come this far is pretty incredible. And I think he's such an inspirational story, right?
Yes.
If he's going to play football, if he really needs to try it, I guess he'll get a chance to try it. I don't know. I mean, we're still a long way from running in an NFL game. But who would have said after we saw that injury that he'd be doing this box jump?
After I saw him walk out onto the field with help with the crutch, I just didn't think there was ever going to happen. I thought that was incredible. When old man walked out on the field, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Let alone a box. I mean, and then you watch him do the lifting and the box jumps and just incredible.
It's an incredible story, and I hope whatever he wants to have happen, at least he gets a shot at making it happen. I don't know, but we'll see.
I'm hoping he finds another way to channel his passion. Because I don't want to see him back on I would love to I shouldn't,
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine from a safety standpoint, because again, I've never gone back and watched that hit, but it didn't look, you've watched some hits where you're like, oh my God, is that guy dead? And this looked like a very routine, I know it obviously wasn't given what happened, but it looked like a very routine tackle that just went awry,
Because we're used to seeing somebody get hit.
Yeah.
Not really make a tackle. And so when he made a tackle, we're watching something else. We just, you just don't think somebody's not going to get up after they make a tackle.
And it didn't look like he speared him,
No.
And I guess as long as we're talking about, before we move on, terrible internet videos, just a shout out, quick recovery to the Auburn gymnast whose video has been online every day, who broke both of her legs during her routine.
Yep.
Not very nice to see, but hopefully she recovers quickly. Now, I don't have a food moment.
I do.
Okay.
You'll like the name of this place, but it's actually the guy's name, okay? When I heard the name of the place, I thought, that's a great name for a steakhouse. The name of the steakhouse is Barbarians.
Okay.
And I thought Barbarians would be a great name for a steakhouse, but it's really the guy's name.
Okay.
So I was in Toronto, and this steakhouse has been there since 1959. And I got to tell you, it was definitely one of the best steakhouses I've ever been to.
Oh, wow.
And I ordered prime rib, and he said, let me throw it on the grill a little bit and kind of, what do they call it when you
char? No.
When the fat burns a little bit.
Okay.
But anyhow, it was amazing. It was unbelievable. And I thought it was like barbarians.
Yeah.
Like real barbarians. And I thought, well, that's a good name because barbarians probably ate a lot of meat. But it was the name of the guy, and it was really, really good. I was very impressed with it.
Very nice.
I got a book recommendation that I want to share. Harlan Coben has a new novel called Runaway. And it's a page turner, and I finished it in one day. It was you and I both like Harlan Coben.
Very much so.
And he can write a real page turner, and this one was one of his best.
Very nice.
And I've also bought a new book. I didn't start it yet, by Rick Riley, the humorist from Sports Illustrated. And it's called Commander-in-Cheat. And it's how Golf explains Trump.
I saw that book. That's interesting.
So I'm going to read that. And Rick Riley, I read the first chapter. He said he's been golfing with Trump. He's known Trump for over 30 years. And he just says, he gives examples that Trump says things sometimes just to say them. And he says things because of how they sound. Like somebody, he was in a meeting one time and somebody asked Melania where she was from. And she said Slovenia. And she said Trump corrected her and said, say Austria. It sounds better.
Oh,
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's Trump, though.
yeah.
So that's my new read. So I'll probably be quoting that for the next couple of shows.
Well, I had 2 entertainment moments.
Okay.
The first is only the first 2 episodes are out, but I'm watching What We Do in the Shadows, which is like a mockumentary about vampires who live in Staten Island. It's based on the What We Do in the Shadows movie that came out a few years ago. If you like, sort of just the general mockumentary, like the sort of smarmy, tongue-in-cheek mockumentary stuff, it's excellent.
Okay.
And then, guess what movie I finally did watch, Dad? Watch Glass.
And what did you think?
I actually liked Glass. I thought it was a little bit slow, and I think I could see where people thought that. But I liked sort of some of the premise. Like, I liked that they were trying to convince them that they weren't what they thought they were. And I thought that was kind of a cool, like, oh, well, this is kind of,
Well, without talking about the ending, did you like the ending or you didn't like the ending?
I think I did. I mean, it was obviously a drawn out.
Exactly what I said.
What's that?
I think I liked the end. I said I also think I like the ending.
Yeah, I think that's what I have to say. I was like, I don't know how else to say it than I think I liked it, but I think I liked it.
Yeah.
It's kind of drawn. I mean, not drawn out, but like it's a long trilogy. Like the first one was what? Unbreakable's like 15, 20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the longest trilogy. I mean, it's got to be one of the longest drawn out trilogies. But I thought,
there's no doubt.
Yeah. And I thought his performances, the Horde is awesome. Like he's fun to watch. James McAvoy. I think he does a great job of switching persona to persona.
Yeah.
It is a little, I mean, it's a little slow, a little plodding, but, still enjoyable. And I think it was kind of cool in this, now that we're just inundated with comic book movies, comic book shows, and we can't get away from them. Hearing once again Samuel L. Jackson's character sort of try to explain life through the comic book stuff. I thought it still worked to this day. So, yeah. So I'd recommend people watch it. And next week, I will give a review of what is supposed to be the worst movie of the year because somebody gave me a free copy of Holmes and Watson, one of the lowest rated movies with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. So,
whoa, yeah, that got crushed.
Yeah, I know. I still really wanted to see it. I still think Step Brothers is like it's almost. I was like, well, it's those 2 guys together. It can't be bad,
That's what I would think as well.
But that's pretty much it. I guess real quick, just because it came out today, just because it shows what people think in general. But The Athletic supposedly surveyed 127 NBA players, none of whom gave their names, and they listed the most overrated players in the NBA. And the top 4, it tied at the top with 47 votes apiece for Russell Westbrook and Draymond Green, followed by James Harden and LeBron James. So to be overrated, you've got to be rated. So I guess that's the criteria to make the list right off the bat. You have to be one of the best players to be overrated.
Right.
And
I think those are people that would have showed up in almost anybody's list.
Right. And I feel
because for every Russ lover, you got a Russ hater. For every Harden hater, you got a Harden lover.
Exactly.
No question.
I was about to say, I almost feel like bizarrely you might get those 4 names near the top of a most underrated list somehow. They might pop up because people would be like, you still don't understand how great LeBron James still is. And, Russ doesn't get all that kind of stuff. So
I think LeBron really damaged his reputation this year.
He certainly did not help.
I just thought it was a very interesting year.
I think it's going to be a while before we see GOAT conversations with LeBron again. GOAT debate.
I agree. I think that he hurt himself in those conversations.
Yes. Whether or not you thought he deserved to be in that or not, I mean, that's, is what it is. But we've gone over 35 minutes, so I guess that'll wrap for this.
We're good. And I'm going to go and watch the basketball game and hope it's, I think the over-under is 118, so like 59, 59-ish. I think so. I think they're looking for a score in the 50s.
At this point, I'm looking for a nail-biter good game. Because, again, I have no emotional connection to either one of these teams whatsoever.
No.
I have no money.
I'm hoping for
a great game.
I'm hoping for a nice game where a blown call doesn't enter into it.
That would be great.
And I mean, when that, I know we didn't talk about this, but when the ball hit his foot and he picked it up and he started dribbling it, I knew it was a double dribble right then and there because nobody else had touched the ball.
Right.
And the explanation I keep getting is, and the referee in the booth was saying that they were anticipating that he was going to foul, and that's what they were looking for. They were looking for a foul. And so they weren't really paying attention to that. But you got 3 referees, and everybody should know what a double dribble is.
Yeah.
But I guess not, because we don't have palming anymore. We sure don't have traveling.
That's what I was like. I was like, James Harden can get away with that, so it's probably fine. But I don't feel like you should be looking for anything. You should be looking for any violation. That's sort of your job.
That's right. You should be officiating the game.
The entire
without.
Like
and when you're taught to officiate, you're taught not to anticipate. You're taught to let the play happen.
Yes. So once again, thank you to all our Patreon supporters that have supported us for 112 episodes, which is really crazy. Please rate us on iTunes and support us on Patreon if you can.
And have a great week.